Captain Midnight.
I began these last 4 weeks of Avengers videos with a look back at the very first film, so it only seems right that I should kind of end this mini-series looking forward at next year's Avengers 4. Hopefully it goes without saying at this point that there's gonna be spoilers for Infinity War. If you haven't yet, you should probably get on seeing that movie. Infinity War of course leaves us in a very interesting place going into next year. And with this July's Ant-Man and the Wasp taking place before the movie and right after Civil War, it looks like it's gonna be a while before we get any concrete answers to the questions that Infinity War left us with. But it's always fun to speculate, right? So with that in mind, I'm gonna dig into a few places the franchise could go, and how the MCU might go about bringing on the endgame.
Once again, I feel a wave of depression surging over me. All day I've had Bucky on my mind.
Option 1, getting dangerous. So I'm starting out with the most unlikely scenario, but one that would definitely be interesting to watch play out on screen. What if Avengers 4 just kind of let everyone stay dead? Now, I doubt that this would ever happen. Characters like Spider-Man and the Black Panther are just too important for Disney to stay dead. But still, what would that version of the movie look like? Would we see the rise of Miles Morales as Spider-Man and maybe Shuri trying to take T'Challa's place as the Black Panther? And would their solo movies have completely different leads going forward? It's really hard to imagine the movie going this way, but I think it's a possibility worth mentioning. What if Avengers 4 was less an epic climactic battle against Thanos, and more about how to pick up the pieces after so much has been lost? That would be really strange, and potentially really moving. If you hate this idea though, I wouldn't worry too much, since I'd place the odds of that happening very, very low. Option 2, One Last Ride. So I'm a big fan of classic samurai movies. I think that the genre as it played out in Japan in the 25 years or so after the Second World War are some of the most emotional and moving genre films ever made. And one trope that these movies come back to over and over again is the idea of the doomed warrior. You see them in The Seven Samurai, Harikari, Samurai Rebellion, and so many more. Characters that know they're swiftly coming to the end of their life, but who decide that their principles are worth dying for. This also had a big impact on later westerns as well, like Clint Eastwood's incredible Unforgiven, which follows aging outlaws Will Money and Morgan Freeman's Ned Logan who take up one last job. This isn't to say that everyone dies in these films, just that the inevitability of death really hangs over all of them. All the characters have come to terms with their own mortality. But what does any of this have to do with the usually fun and funny Marvel movies? Well, I think that if Avengers 4 is really going to work, they need to tap into at least some of that feeling. Not that there shouldn't be jokes, I mean sometimes gallows humor is the funniest kind. Just that what our core Avengers, Iron Man, Cap, Thor, and everyone else left alive are facing is so far beyond anything they faced before. The death of half of all life in the universe. And to undo that, they need to be willing to go to lengths that they would have thought unthinkable before, even if it means their own lives. And let's face it, actors like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and maybe even Chris Hemsworth aren't going to want to play these characters forever, and all have expressed a desire to move on after Avengers 4. If that's the case, I think that after more than 10 years of MCU films, they deserve to go out in legendary fashion. And somehow sacrificing themselves for half of all life would definitely fit the bill. If this is how these characters exit the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the movie should have some extra weight to it. A feeling of finality and resolution that past MCU movies couldn't touch.
Can't see what's in that cage, but I'll smash it anyway. Rick, I almost killed him.
Option 3, the time jump. Okay, so odds are good that Avengers 4 will pick up right after the events of Infinity War. But here's a fun question to ask. What if it, didn't? What if instead, the next Avengers picked up a year or more after the last one, with the team in more disarray than ever? Tony might have gone near catatonic, completely isolating himself trying to find a solution. Maybe growing a big crazy beard in the process. Maybe Cap has been trying to move on, and has been taking on more normal missions obsessively in an attempt to escape thinking about what he's lost. And maybe Thor met up with Wong, and they've been, traveling through different dimensions together trying to figure something out. And then they would all have to pull out of their dysfunction together, and work as a team one last time. I think it's clear that Doctor Strange had a plan, and didn't just let Thanos take the stone solely out of concern for Tony's life. So as far as we know, this is all going according to that plan. But what if Strange's winning strategy was a really long game? like years even. It was the one plan out of millions that he saw working after all, so no matter how terrible it is, it was the only option. I think a time jump would be really interesting and could give the MCU a lot of fascinating material to work with. Like, what if the world found out that mutants existed right after losing half the population? How would that affect the X-Men? Or what if Miles takes up the mantle of Spider-Man and has a year's worth of adventures with Peter gone, only for him to return? There's so many weird and cool possibilities that could arise from a long time jump, and I'd really like to see them explored. Avengers 4 looks like it will mostly be following the Phase 1 team from the first movie, but they could still radically change the film by making big, bold moves like this right at the start. Option 4. Bring on the Cosmos. You know who I love? The Silver Surfer. And you know what Marvel Studios might be getting control of pretty soon? Fantastic Four characters. Now, to be fair, I'm no lawyer sitting in the boardroom hashing out the rights to who has what, but if possible, I'd love to see some of these characters, and especially the Surfer, make an appearance in Avengers 4. I think he'd work really well with a story on this scale, and Thanos' actions have of course been felt around the universe. If you only know the character from like that one Fantastic Four movie or something, please put that out of your head. He's so much deeper and more complex than that film allowed him to be. And I think the Russos could really bring that out. And, you know, maybe even Victor Von Doom could be in the movie, trying to take advantage of the Earth's desperate situation. I really just can't wait to see these characters in the MCU. But I want to hear what you guys think. What approach should the Russos take to Avengers 4? And what new characters, if any, should be in it?
I seem to be a bit stiff.
But not near as stiff as you were when we first found you.
Hey guys, I just wanted to let you know about this month's Patreon video about my most anticipated upcoming non-superhero movies. I had a really good time with this one, so if you want to check it out, you can go to my Patreon page by clicking on the link in the pinned comment or video description below. For $5 a month, you'll get access to a new Patreon exclusive every month, as well as a growing back catalog of them. So if you're interested, be sure to check it out. Well, that was it for me this week. Be sure to like and subscribe or whatever, but most importantly, be sure to come back next Thursday when I'll be talking about Deadpool 2. I really can't wait to dig into it, and I will see you then.